have this morning. So
good morning, everybody. We have two guests today. We have Paul Rouse. Want to wave? Did I say that? Is it Rouse? Rouse? Rouse, oh good. And he's from Mountjoy. Glad to have you with us again. And Mark Timmons, who will be our speaker today, and he's from York Fresh Food Farms.
good morning, gentlemen. Thanks for being with us. And let's just give them a nice round of applause and thank them for being here. Jeff Kyle is going to go around and see who our lucky winner of our 50-50 drawing will be this morning. Hunter Mink. Hunter Mink.
He won last year.
Yeah, when he wasn't here, yeah.
Hunter never has great expectations either, but congratulations, Hunter. Anybody have any happy dollars for this morning? Elizabeth, let me come over to you.
Good morning, York East. I just wanted to give a happy dollar because I saw in the Springersbury newsletter that our Safety Town promotion was in there. And I brought it and laid it out on the table there in case you noticed it. But I don't know why I'm getting that since I'm in Pelham. Maybe Springersbury's trying to I don't know.
Very good. Our safety town committee's been working hard at promoting it. So we're off to a good start, it sounds like. Jeff.
Morning, Greg. There's 20 happy dollars. Last weekend, I was going through some boxes that I had taken out of my parents' house when I cleaned it out, and I opened up one box and it had a picture of my first grade class. And it brought back the memory of what it was like to be a first grader in 1955. I missed going to a one-room school by 2 years. Central School District had just been formed, and what they did was two first grade classes in the brand new Springersbury Township Elementary School, which is where the park is now. So they divided the classes between south of Market Street and north of Market Street. And of course, I lived north of Market Street, and we were all farm kids. So they labeled the kids who were south, whose parents were college educated and were basically office workers, and they were called the Eagles, and they called us the dinosaurs. So I was telling my wife this story as I showed her the picture, and she said, some things never change. I think I still have the brain of a dinosaur.
Well, congratulations, Jeff. I hope there were other good memories in the findings there. Anybody else? Happy dollars?
I was going to make the announcement too. Thank you for bringing that magazine in or the newsletter. But, I send this information out every year with Safety Town. And I just hope that, it gets posted, people get to see it. And it just so happens my mom got the newsletter from Springersbury Township. So it's $5 happy dollars for Springersbury Township and Todd King. We got a full page in their newsletter. So thank you very much. And it went out to all the other school districts also.
Good deal. And thank you, Joanne, for sending that information out to all the municipalities. Anybody else? I can drop this off on my way up front. Does anybody have any? We don't have anybody on Zoom this morning, so we can kind of free ball this a little bit. Announcements. Nobody has any announcements? Nothing going on? We might have to change that. I do know, and I'll kind of throw this out, we have a couple of members that can't be here this morning because they're going to be helping out with the BizTown, Junior Achievement BizTown program this morning. I know Tim Kohler's there. Jim Norton, and I think we have a third and maybe even a fourth Rotary members at J Biztown this morning. So I'm sure next week they'll have some interesting information to share as far as how their date went.
Are we giving them credit for attendance? They should get credit for attendance.
They should get, we can do that. Yeah, I need to figure out for certain who the group is that's actually there, but we can give them a makeup. Even though our attendance, I don't think really matters. We still allow Jeff Pyle in the club. Sorry, Jeff. I had to do it. I had
It's
to.
another one of those formalities, you know?
Anybody else? Any other announcements? Okay, if not, I will ask if, Andy, are you going to introduce our speaker for this morning? And do we have everything? Are we good? We don't, okay, talk to me. That's fine.
So has anybody in this room had any trouble with technology in the past? I mean, when you get somewhere and you think something's on your USB stick or it doesn't work. Well, sometimes that's a good thing because then you wing it and you speak from the heart and it's going to go great. And you don't have to look at another PowerPoint presentation to start your day. So with that, I'd like to introduce Mark Timmons. Mark is the Executive Director at York Fresh Food Farms. He joined the organization in January this year. He's a community organizer and a former carpenter and a licensed home improvement contractor in Pennsylvania who began working with nonprofits in 2018 to make homes more accessible for older Pennsylvanians and folks who have disabilities. He shares the farm's mission to bring affordable, fresh produce to the city of York, a food desert where access to healthy vegetables is limited, and he's committed to making sure that York Fresh Food Farms, a success story in York, remains a resource for our community that can exist in perpetuity. His favorite thing is telling folks about how they can be a part of this mission, and is excited to offer you that opportunity today. So please join me in welcoming Mark Timmons.
Oh, my friends. So I updated our PowerPoint last night with new pictures I took last week. It was fantastic. You would have loved it. But it's all me. As soon as they said like there's no PowerPoint, like I knew what I did. I opened it, and not only do you not get it, I'm pretty sure I deleted it forever this morning. But it's okay. So as long as everybody feels comfortable being as interactive as possible, you know, feel free to ask your questions as we go. I do actually talk about the farm all the time, and I don't really need the PowerPoint. So we will be able to keep it entertaining. How many of us have been to the farm, have been to York Fresh Food Farms? Awesome. Has anybody shopped at one of our mobile produce markets or bought a farm share? Oh my gosh, this is amazing. So has anybody here ever heard of us? Okay, that's something. I like this. I'm going to tell you the truth. I have been an organizer in Lancaster County, York. I live just over the border in Cumberland County now. When they were looking for their first executive director for the farm in January, I had never heard of York Fresh Food Farms, and I've been working real close in the city for the past year. Then they told me where it was, and I was like, where is that? And so where we are, does anybody, Parkway, so there's the neighborhood, the Parkway neighborhood. If you make a right off of George Street and you go on Parkway, neighborhood is all on your left, but there's that little road, Willis Road, and it sort of goes back, past, that's where we are. There's a little 2.5 acres, 2.73, I think it actually is, where it was just left over. It's never been built upon. The Housing Authority owns it. And in 2016, we had two visionary leaders, visionary organizers. Their names were Bruce Mann and Meta Barber. I don't know if anybody here knows Bruce or Meta, but they are our visionary founders at the farm. In 2016, they started on the land where we are now, and they had this idea that you could grow food 52 weeks a year in the city of York. So we have 3 greenhouses at our location. We call them high tunnels. They're pretty big. Each one of them fits about 5 or 6 rows of raised beds. So these raised beds are just like what you would see in a community garden, like you would have at your home, right? Just a 2 by 12. They're about this wide, but the high tunnels are a little bit longer than this entire room from me to the other end. Honestly, the greenhouse space is almost pretty close to this room is what we have on the farm. And we grow lettuce, spinach, broccoli. We had the most beautiful bok choy that you've ever seen in your life a couple weeks ago. Anybody cook with bok choy here? Yeah, it's like a Chinese vegetable, often find it in food. You usually cook it in your noodles. But it was exciting because, you know, we bring that stuff, we grow it, and then people don't know what it is when we go out to our market. So we grow all this food, and that sounds like maybe it's the hard part, but I honestly believe is the easiest part. You know, so Bruce himself was a master gardener, a farmer who had farmed in unique places all around the world. And Meta handled everything else. And so about 1.5 years ago, they both were retired when they started it. I heard somebody say it's amazing how hard you work when you're retired at my table just this morning. But they put their 10 years in and they decided to move on. And the organization now is under its sort of moving forward leadership with our first executive director and a farm manager, because if you heard in my bio, I'm not a soil scientist and I know a little bit about farming, but like not that, you know, and what I do is I do stuff like this. I make sure that everybody in York, like we never have rooms next year where I walk in, I'm like, who's heard of the farm? We're like, sort of, you know, because there's some things that we do that you've probably heard of that's probably normal, right? Community source agriculture, we call our community, you know, CSAs. Has anybody ever bought those monthly shares from a farm? Cool, so you know how they work. The cool thing about York Fresh Food Farms is you don't have to join for a whole year, which usually you have to get a subscription and then you get it every month. And it seems really great. And then you get so much kale throughout the winter. You're like, gosh, they grow a lot of squash. And we do actually, we have this delicata squash. We got some spaghetti squash right now. And we are starting to plant our summer squash, but it does get a little tight in the winter time. And that's for any farm, even ours where we grow in greenhouses. So in the winter time, we do supplement a little. We go to a wholesaler. We try really hard to make sure everything is from Pennsylvania. If it's not, we sort of stop buying it. But this is just for onions, potatoes, things that are a staple that we need to have both in our farm shares, which we sold 378 farm shares last year, and for our mobile markets. Now, this is the cool thing, and this is going to maybe jog y'all's memory. And if you want, I won't be offended. If you wanted to go to our website while I'm here talking and look at pictures, that would be fine. It's York Fresh Food Farms, all one word.org. You don't have to, but there's pictures of this stuff there if you were interested. And you maybe have seen this because the bread and butter of our business is mobile markets. So we have 2 buses or vans or buses, and the transit buses that we've painted green. And I thought that was, somebody's going to the website, that's okay. We paint them green and you'll see they're branded York Fresh Food Farms. We load them up with trays of produce that we've grown and we go set up on location. We go to regular stops all summer and the winter. In the winter, we only do 4. Thursdays, we're always at the Gladfelter YMCA, downtown YMCA in York. And we're inside, so you go in right in front of the exercise room. You'll see a couple of folding tables set up. And that's where we got, that looks a lot like that. This is when we're outside over at the Parkway location. I said Thursdays we're at the YMCA, but that's actually not true. Thursdays we're at the White Rose Senior Center. same thing, right? When you come in the door right on Broad Street there. Fridays, we go to the YMCA and we go to the Yorktown Apartments, if you know where they are, down by the ball stadium. The deal is, people look forward to having us there because we're like their access to fresh produce. You know, the city of York does not really have, we don't have a Whole Foods, right? You know, there's a C-Town. The Wise is close to the city limits, but it's on the other side of 30. And a lot of the folks that, you know, we hit with the mobile markets are folks who are not driving, you know, over 30 folks who are walking to do most of, there we go. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. That's actually just as good as my PowerPoint. It's not as good as my PowerPoint, but it's good. And we'll see some pictures of the bus there, I'm pretty sure. But now see, when you notice the green, you notice the logo, you're going to be in the city when the spring and summer comes, and you're going to see one of our buses and vans driving around. And also, this will be the first year where we will be going, hopefully, to Penn and Central Market in York. Now, when the organization started, that was something that they didn't want to do, you know, and mostly because our pop-up markets are the creative, cool part of our endeavor, you know, and they really wanted to focus on that. I don't have the same aversion. I want people to see us at the mobile markets and in the market houses. So hopefully you'll see us in both places. And we also did some cool things, like with the Revolution, we're going to have a weekend homestand down at the stadium, the York Fresh Food Farms homestand. Revolution's actually super great to work with, and really good care of us, let us get involved. Now, oh, look at this, this is great. That's our composting. Now I'm going to tell you about, it sounds like it's not that hard. It's actually really, really hard. Growing the food is the first part. So we're in our high tunnels, we're in our greenhouses, we've got our raised beds, but there's, you know, the tops of the greenhouses, they don't come off. So our stuff doesn't get watered from the sky, right? That's the downside of the greenhouse. Everything is drip irrigation. We have lines, of hard plastic lines, and that's how we water our plants. That's how we give them fertilizer when they need it. That's how we give them pesticides when they need it. And that is a great picture of the next thing I'm going to talk about. That's our Roosevelt site. So this is even harder to see. But if you're on Roosevelt Ave and you're leaving the city and you're approaching 30 and you're about to get to Royal Farms is on the corner of 30 there. Before you get there, like you think you're going to get to Royal Farms, you'll see a blue and white sign that says True North. And back behind that, you can just see the top of one of our high tunnels. So we have another high tunnel out there, and then that's where our rows are. So in the summertime, soon in the spring, we'll take our tractor over there. We got a little New Holland toy tractor. I'll probably drive it because I want to. I was a carpenter, you know, I wasn't, I've done a little bit of farming and I've driven a tractor before. In construction, we use those tractors. And it's been a long time since I almost drove it into the garage of the very first house I ever built. It was close. But yeah, so I mean, we'll get out there and we'll plow those fields and we'll have our potatoes, we'll have our carrots, we'll have our onions, the things that we grow that we can't really do in throughout the winter in the greenhouses. So that really triples our production when summer comes. So just for sort of perspective, in the winter right now, we have 4 markets going regularly. We'll have 19 regular market stops throughout the week. So every day, we got 2 buses out. Now, talking about growing though. So growing outside, you know, we can do that to rain, obviously. And then growing in the high tunnels, we can lift the sides up. We can really regulate the temperature in there. It's probably about 50 degrees. But then, you know, the real thing is after you grow it, you got to harvest it, and then you got to wash it. And then our spinach, we sell in half-pound bags. Somebody's got to weigh a half a pound of spinach and put it in a plastic bag, keep it spritzed and nice in the cooler for as long as it takes to get out to market. So when I think about what we do, like I always think about it in 3 parts. There's the growing, and the harvesting. And then there's the getting that stuff to market. And for me, as not like a farmer, that's when I get really scared, you know, because you don't want anything to go to waste. York Fresh Food Farms donated 23% of the food that we grew last year. And so we work with the Salvation Army, Catholic Harvest, 4 or 5 different food banks that in the summertime will come every day and pick up our food. So one thing that we always try to remember is we want that produce to get to the donation, like not when it's a day past, right? Like I want it days before it's going to go. We want folks to get good food, you know, because we actually have plenty of space, believe it or not. It's 5 total acres that we grow at Willis Road and then also on the Roosevelt site. And we get as much produce as we can manpower, sorry for the old fashioned term, you know, but as the people hours, you know, that we can find to harvest, we'll have the crop. So that's a good place to be, you know, like, can you grow enough food to seriously address the food desert in York? Yeah, you definitely can. Now, can you get it to folks? I think that's Bruce right there on the left. There's our founder. But can you then get it in front of people who need it? Well, yes, so far we have been able to, you know, but that is definitely, there's our boss. Look how pretty. We're going to be in the St. Patrick's Day Parade with Lions Day in a couple weeks. You'll see their theme was, you know, we're going to do a eat something green theme. You want to be in the parade with us? And I was like, yeah, of course I do. So, you know, we'll have our green bus and we'll all be in our t-shirts. There's a picture of our cooler looking really stocked up. And, you know, when you come to the site, you're going to see, I got an office. It's about as big as that little room over there, but it's made out of an old cargo shipping thing, you know, like the big stacks on the boats from China. It's one of those with some windows cut out of it. But, you know, it works for us. So there's times when we're going to have, that's a great picture because you can see in the back here, this is Pershing Ave, if you know that road where it wraps around there. So you can see that we have houses right up against our backyard there, which reminds us that we're really in the city. You can also get a pretty good idea. That's a Ford Ranger and an F-350. And you can get a picture of how big the high tunnels are. So there you go. That's another great picture of how it looks in the high tunnels. And this is when, you know, they're going to put dirt in there next. It looks like they're harvesting, but that's a little bit low. So sometimes we'll have to put new dirt in there. So all of this to say, we do make this work, but we're also a nonprofit. We donate 23% of what we sell, and the rest of it, we sell for the best prices that we can, right? So we have garlic that we grow. We sell it for $1 a head. I know that at Giant, sometimes you can get it for 89 cents, right? But that's typically a good price. We sell a yellow onion for $1.50. You're going to pay over $3 for a similar onion in the store, because the real key is not for York Fresh Food Farms to get rich, it's to address food insecurity in the city of York. So we always want to come in at a price point that allows us to more or less maintain our business, but also, you know, is going to be affordable. And we take food stamps, farmers checks, and, you know, EBT SNAP, any form of subsidized payment that folks qualify for, we're able to take. 41% of our sales were made through EBT, SNAP, isn't that pretty? Or that's on Parkway, you can see that. And so next time you're on that road and you're driving down there, you'll look off to your right and then you'll, oh man, there it is. There's the York Fresh Food Farm stand. But 43%, I think, last year was bought with some form of subsidy. So we are accomplishing our mission. You know, it's we've been successful. We did 14 tons worth of harvest last year, just to sort of give a number. We figure about 33,000 folks visited one of our mobile markets in the past couple of years. So we've been very successful, but the key for us is to make sure that we continue to have volunteers, and and we continue to have support from the community. Now, we get grants and things like you would expect for urban agriculture, but nobody really throws money at you for stuff like that. I'm sure that folks who are involved with nonprofits know that, you know, it's good, but it takes a little bit of work. So the farm is going to be here forever. That's the goal of our new board of directors. That's the goal, my goal as our first executive director. We're 10 years in and we've had a pretty good run. We had a lot of that initial energy that you get when you have visionary leaders putting in a lot of their volunteer time. And then, you know, it sounds that you're going to understand the pandemic pretty good for your fresh food farms. We already had a model that was pandemic ready. So when there wasn't really better options, we got a little bit of a boost. Now we got to exist in perpetuity. And like I said, we're going to do it. But part of that means that I come here and I make sure, like I said, that I'm not in front of any rooms where people haven't heard of the farm, you know, because this is something, and I talked a little bit at the table there, it's something that the city of York is doing right and nobody else is doing. I mean, sometimes I'm like, oh, well, you know, we are, of course, the only nonprofit urban farm in America. And I don't quite know if that's true, but I don't know that it's not either. You know, like there's a couple for-profit models that have just started in the past year that are trying to do this greenhouse type growing, but nobody with the mission to directly address food insecurity and to, you know, to serve people specifically in a food desert. And so that is the goal of York Fresh Food Farms, is that we address food insecurity in the city of York through sustainable urban agriculture and access to affordable produce. Normally you start with your mission statement, but I think I'll wrap it up with that for the initial bit of talk and maybe have some questions from anybody out there. Yes. Yes, that is a great question. So for anybody who's never done any type of community agriculture thing, what happens is that on, you can go to our website, and actually, I don't know if we can find, there's an opportunity to volunteer on the website, and there's also an opportunity to buy a farm share. So if you go to the website and you click on the farm share, you're going to see every week, it's not going to be done, but every week we're supposed to update the list of everything that's on there by Wednesday. So we got another day, but by Tuesday or Wednesday, you're going to know the 10 items that we put in the farm share. Let me try to remember. I think last week it was arugula, spinach, bok choy, white potatoes, spaghetti squash, delicata squash, carrots, onions. I'm getting pretty close. We used to have eggs. Yeah, everybody used to have eggs. All right, I'll tell you a story after I tell you about the farm share. So the farm, so the 10 items, and they changed, but they're going to stay the same, you know, sort of slowly, gradually. It's $20. So you can pay on your credit card. You know, you sort of got to. So folks who are using EBT SNAP can also pay with that for the farm shares on the website. And then it's for pickup. You come down to the farm anytime Friday or Saturday morning, Friday before 3. Normally you'll get an email Friday morning that says your farm share is ready, right around 9:30. And then we'll be there till 3 for you to come pick it up. We can also have it delivered. It's a $10 charge unless you're a homebound person, then we'll deliver it for free. So sort of if you're the furthest away from the farm, it's $10. We also have like a $5 delivery fee if you're closer to the farm. So depending on, there we go, within 2 minutes, $6. That was a good one. There's our volunteer. You're so much better at this than I am. I don't even really need the clicker. Yeah, so here's our delivery fees, $6. If you're close, 2 miles, 10 if you're far away, and free for homebound residents in the city of York. And there's no commitment. You get it 1 week, you don't use it all, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to skip a week. No problem. The great thing is once you buy one, we'll send in, assuming you sign up on our email list, we'll send you an email every week. We have about 800 people currently that we're sending out emails to weekly to give them an update on what the farm shares are that week. And farm shares are a big deal, actually. About 10 years ago, 12 years ago, farms really made a push to keep themselves sustainable, particularly our small Pennsylvania, 100-acre and less farms. So there's, it's the easiest way for us to get our produce and then get it to folks. So that's something we had 10, I think, was pretty good last month. But we'd like to be more like 20, per month. The other great thing that we do with our farm shares is we are redeveloping a relationship with the school district of York, where we 2 years ago, I think we packaged 750 farm shares specifically for the school district of York. And the same thing that sort of happens with all of these programs, like, again, folks who are involved with nonprofits knows how this works, but our contact at the school just left, she moved to a different job and nobody really picked it up. And that's something that we really want to get back, is our relationship, not just with the school district. Yeah.
We could have a little contest, see who knows what vegetables start with J.
That's a good one. And I got one. Who?
Jalapeno.
Jalapeno's a good one. Mine's also
You're gonna have to add that.
Currently, there are not on.
jicama. Nobody was going to get jicama, but I would love to get some jicama in the.
When I did the timeshare, the only thing that my farmer knew how to grow was jalapeno peppers.
And so, all right, so I'll tell you, any more questions about the farm shares? Does that answer, I think? All right, so you can add on to your farm shares, and we have currently add-ons for poultry, organic, free-range chickens. You can get a half or a whole chicken frozen. You can also get pork, because these are farmers that donate them to us or sell them to us in a way that we can resell them effectively. We had eggs, and we can't get eggs anymore. Obviously everybody got priced out together, but I have a mission. I want chickens at York Fresh Food Farms. So we started the process yesterday. I went to City Hall, said I would like to talk to the person. I'd like to talk about chickens. I knew this was going to happen. It was perfect though. So I'm here to talk about chickens, raising them in the city. And somebody from behind a desk, they couldn't even see. They're like, you can't do it. And I was like, I know we can't do it, but I think that we must need to get some type of exemption, because we're a farm, we're a nonprofit farm. And I will say that when you do have a nonprofit farm whose mission is to end food insecurity, people don't kick you out the door as fast as if maybe you were selling something else. So I did get a card, and I do hope, because that type of thing would actually be a really big deal. And, it's not actually a secret what we need to do to exist in perpetuity. We're doing stuff pretty good. We're harvesting pretty good, and we're selling it pretty good. Last year, though, we had some stuff that we weren't able to harvest because we didn't have enough people to do it. Some of that stuff that we harvested, we weren't able to process and get to a donation fast enough, and we lost it. Now, is it tons? No, but it all breaks my heart, and you can also see there's certain things that we can do at the farm to stay modern, to stay automated. For instance, our high tunnels have sides that go up. The top always stays there, but sometimes we can roll up the sides. It's pretty much just like being in a carport, right? So we're looking at a way, and we've already found our farm manager, Sam, has already found it. You can set it up just like your home or even a workplace like this thermostat system, where not only can we have the sides going up and down determined by the barometric conditions inside the tunnel, but we can also manipulate them through our phone. Anytime we can do something like that, same with the drip irrigation, right? We need to do that because we're never going to be able to eliminate humans from what we do on the farm. You know, you need people who can harvest, who can sort, who can pick. I'm not even very good at it. I mean, picking through leaves, some folks really, really love it. I mean, people come to them. I mean, some of you are probably love gardening, you know, and being on the farm is really invigorating for a lot of folks, but it's not easy per se, you know, and so somebody's got to do it with their hands. Anything that we can do to eliminate manpower, you know, like this. Right now, we got somebody going over there, you know, our farm managers rolling up the high tunnels twice a day or covering and uncovering them. We actually just have little sheets that roll over. They're like little tunnels on top of the rows, which I don't think there's any good pictures up there, but in the winter time, we sort of cover them loosely with a shroud. And that's how the plants are then able, we don't even have to water in the winter. They actually drink their own condensation, you know, water themselves with the condensation that comes from these shrouds. But somebody's got to go there, and you know, it takes like 30 minutes to do it. And then you got to go to the Roosevelt site, which is like a mile away. And oh, good heck, that's our office. So that's I took my kids to the farm for the first time, and we were driving on 30. My boys, they live over half the time with their mom in Lancaster, and we were driving on 30. Take them over to Lancaster, and there's like a cargo like box like sitting off in the middle of the field. And my 11-year-old, he didn't miss a beat. He was like, "Dad, somebody stole your office." But this is the carpentry part, you know, and he's washing right there. Now what he's actually doing is washing a crate that we put the vegetables in when we take it to market, because, you know, running a commercial food operation, we do train all of our folks, you know, with the USDA standard online training, as far as food safety and, you know, but it's still rugged. So that's where we would wash, that's where we would weigh. And on the other side there, if you stop by the farm, you would see me in my office. I got distracted. I was talking about chickens. Did I finish? I think, and I got distracted by pictures there, but maybe we'll go to a next question. Yes. That is a great question. Here is where we are, because this is super interesting. Sam, our farm manager, took over for Bruce in March. Now, I've only been at the farm since January. We had an interim executive director, but Bruce had everything in his head. And he basically spent most of last year teaching Sam everything that Bruce thought Sam needed to know. Now, I will tell you, Sam is just a few years younger than me. He was born in Egypt. He's been here 11 years. He's a professional. You know, he studied agriculture in school and has been working in agriculture for, you know, most of the past 10 years. That being said, when you have a visionary founder with an idea, they get their way, you know? So there were things that we always did. And you know, Bruce and I haven't met yet, but I can't wait to tell them how much I love the farm that they created and how proud we are to inherit it and keep it going forever. But we will be doing things a little bit different, and we're not always sure what that looks like. So for instance, with the hydroponic, I said the same thing to Sam. I'm like, what about, you know, hydroponic, maybe for some of the babies, because we actually, we do a lot by seed, but if we don't get the yield that we need from planting by seed, then we have to buy babies from, the little plants from Miller's. So I'm like, hey, for the babies, they have to live in dirt. We could use a hydroponic system and maybe just them, as long as we have to transplant them from the little crates, which are full of dirt. Can we use a hydroponic system? Because you can typically and Sam said, well, maybe, like we can try it, and so we'll try it. Now, sometimes plants don't trans as easily, from hydroponic into dirt. Some plants will do it better than others. But another thing is that we're not necessarily organic. And it doesn't mean that we spray a lot of pesticides or anything like that. But it does mean that there's the covers. You can see them. The white covers are pulled off and then there's little rings. But those are what we would cover it with. But being organic means that you get a certification from somebody like Rodale, or we're working with Team Ag, which is maybe a creation of Penn State Extension. But Penn State Extension started working with us on an organic transition because they had grant money for organic farms. And we're like, well, yeah, we'll try it. But, Bruce always said we couldn't get the yields that we needed, to fully address food insecurity if we follow all these organic rules. So we're not sure, and so what Penn State Extension was, nice enough to do, because it's their grant money, was they're like, well, why don't you just make part of your farm organic? We have 5 tunnels, we can keep stuff separate, and we can really focus some areas on that transition. And so that's what we're doing, and how will that work as far as our yields? Like Sam would say, we'll know next year, and what is really, really great is when we did go to this, Penn State was asking us about our process and, is this a grant that they wanted to invest in? Pennsylvania Association of Sustainable Agriculture is also working with us. Both of these organizations are giving us interns. And so they ask us, they specifically say, do you have a system in place, or is your planting plan in somebody's head? We're like, well, actually, it's on a Google Drive, so. And this is one of the things that I'm a stickler for with our farm manager and our market manager, is we got to track everything all the time. We got to see numbers for every single thing that goes in the ground, trackable numbers for everything that comes out of the ground. I mean, I didn't tell you guys, but I know exactly how much we wasted last year, and we know exactly how not to waste it again this year. But having this system automated and having it written down and having a plan is allowing us to look into things like hydroponic. It's allowing us to look into an organic transition. And some of it, we're just going to just be trial and error. We're going to make sure that we keep the farm going, but we can always try new things, so it's a very versatile system. I will say it grows out of gardening, more than it grows down from agriculture. But I'm also very adamant that what we do is not gardening. 5 acres is a lot of commercial food. So we are absolutely a small farm, but a unique one. That sort of answers your question, but not really. Yes. Yeah. We are working more on our composting as well, because we've always been buying fertilizer, and anywhere where we can sort of cut those costs. So I had my shredded paper yesterday, brought it down to the farm for our market manager to mix in our brown. We've got folks who have dropped off some leaves. So yes, they will get composted, but we haven't really been doing that. So it's an opportunity, that's a great question too. Getting fooded, it's okay though.
Kind of that, or
I understand here.
Mark, thank you for your presentation. I think we all got educated this morning in not knowing exactly. I didn't turn around to see how many hands went up that you're familiar with this program. But what a great presentation. Let's give Mark a nice round of applause. And I told Mark that we would donate a book to the Logos Academy in recognition of his presentation this morning. So the new children's encyclopedia is going to be going to Logos Academy. So I think Nate wants to get a photo of
Yes,
that.
I would love a photo. Text it to me. Thank you.
That flying on.
Once again, another round of applause. Very good. If there's nothing else for the good of the order, I will say our meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming out this morning. Oh, before we do adjourn though, I will say next week, Bill Girosh has been a proponent of saying, let everybody know what the program is for next week. We will have our students of the month coming in, so they're always great to hear from. So come out and help support those kids. Thank you all.